10 people who outlived insane prison sentences. Eddie Collins. Eddie Collins stepped out of the prison after 43 years. He was serving time for a first-degree execution. In the incident that took place in 1973, Eddie was 21, living in Tucson, Arizona. He was caught in an argument when he had gone to buy a substance along with his 17-year-old younger brother. During the fight, he took out a gun that changed his life. Otis Johnson. Otis Johnson was just 25 years old when he attempted to take the life of a police officer. He spent 44 long years in prison. He was taken to prison in the 70s, and when he was out in the real world, he had to face the modern society of complex technology. The 69-year-old was alone and had nowhere to go because he was homeless when he stepped inside the prison. John Franzese. John Sonny Franzese was a well-known underboss of Colombo's offense organization in New York. He boasts of taking more than 60 lives in his lifetime. The underworld figure was one of the oldest inmates in the U.S. federal prison system. He was sentenced to 50 years in jail. John was released from Massachusetts Federal Medical Center, Devens. In 2020, John passed away at the age of 103. Harvey Stewart. Harvey Stewart spent 60 years in prison, isolated from the outside world. In July 1958, he took the life of 26-year-old James Laird with a pistol. Combined with a robbery, Harvey was sentenced to life in Texas prison. He claims that he had to act in self-defense in the incident. He outlived all his immediate family members during his time in prison. The 85-year-old's parole was approved due to his declining health, age and good behavior. Hugh Alderman. In 1917, Hugh Alderman was caught red-handed during a bank robbery in Florida. He was the only survivor from the group of 4 men who had stolen $6,000. Hugh was 23 when his jail sentence started. The robber escaped jail within a few years. He again managed to escape from the prison in 1924. In 1927, Hugh was shifted to a mental hospital, where he passed away in 1980 when he was 86. Charles Adret Ford. The worst part about Charles Adret Ford's 64-year-long jail sentence was that he was innocent. Charles has served one of the longest prison sentences as an innocent person. He was charged with assassinating a person. Back in the 50s, when Charles was taken to the court of an all-white jury, the blacks did not have any rights. The 20-year-old American citizen was falsely accused and was sent to jail. Howard Christensen. In 1973, 16-year-old Howard Christensen ended the life of a teacher. He was sentenced to life without parole. Howard took the life of a teacher with a 17-year-old boy, who was taken into custody along with Howard for the offense. Howard was one of the most troublesome inmates who would pester the visitors. Doctors gave him electric therapy to make him more docile. Howard was released after 64 years in 2001. Richard Honeck. In 1899, Richard Honeck was sentenced to life in prison for taking the life of his former school friend. In Joliet Prison, he stabbed an assistant warden with a handcrafted knife. He was shackled with a ball and chain for about 6 months. Later he was moved to another prison, where he worked in the prison bakery for 35 years. In 1963, after 64 years, Richard was paroled from Southern Illinois Penitentiary in Chester, Illinois. Johnson Van Dyke Grigsby. In 1903, African-American Johnson Van Dyke Grigsby took the life of a white man while playing a game of 5-card stud poker in a saloon. Over the years, he was denied parole requests 33 times. He was released in 1974 after serving 66 years in jail when he was deemed not a threat to society anymore. Shortly after his release, the 89-year-old voluntarily returned to prison when he couldn't find a job to survive. Paul Geidel Jr. In 1911, 17-year-old Paul Geidel Jr. was convicted of a second-degree offense. Paul spent 68 years in several prisons in New York State. When he was paroled at the age of 86, he didn't want to leave prison life. After his release, Paul was in a nursing home, where he spent the rest of his life. Paul passed away at the old age of 93.